In today's brief video, I want to share with you guys 3 major pitfalls of relying on motivation to quit smoking weed that I fell for throughout my cannabis addiction journey. If you're new to the channel, my name's Dr. Frank. I'm the founder of AddictionMindset recovery coaching programs, which are dedicated to helping people quit nicotine, THC, energy drinks, and adult media content, substances that I once struggled with. If you're new to the channel and you want more information about our one-on-one coaching, group coaching, or a free 7-step guide to quit smoking weed today, ASAP, check out the video description or the pinned comment below at the end of today's brief video. All right, let's jump right into it. The first problem that I ran into relying on motivation to quit smoking weed was the fact that I had very little motivation at this point in my life when I was looking to quit smoking. In fact, one of the primary reasons I was looking to quit smoking weed is because I wanted to get my drive back. I wanted to get my motivation back. I wanted to get my ambition back, that feeling of getting out there, going to want to accomplish things. I had lost that throughout weed addiction. And looking back on it, there's a physiological reason why this occurred. When we struggle with addiction, and it doesn't matter to what substance, weed, nicotine, alcohol, porn, it doesn't make a difference. Our brain actually enters into a state of dopamine deficiency. Dopamine is the neurotransmitter that's responsible for motivation and drive and that go-get-it type attitude. We also wind up becoming depleted of norepinephrine, epinephrine, and even arguably with cannabis, testosterone. All things that are responsible for motivation. So here I was waiting on the perfect event to quit smoking weed, right? Like, I'm going to quit when I stop college. I'm going to quit when I get a new job. I'm going to quit when I get married. I'm going to quit when I have kids. I was waiting on some external factor to motivate me to quit smoking weed, and that failed me every single time. I just smoked through all those external factors. But it failed me because my body was physiologically deprived of the very thing that was responsible for creating emotions of motivation, drive, and anything else like that. So tip number 1, don't rely on motivation to quit smoking weed. Now, I'm going to go a step further than this, because if you're waiting for motivation, chances are as long as you're addicted, it's never going to happen. And think about it. Aren't you quitting because you want to feel more motivated again? So would it make sense to wait to feel motivated to quit? Of course not. Tip number 2, when it comes to motivation, another major pitfall that I would fall victim to, maybe by the grace of God, I would get motivated to want better health, right? I had symptoms of Cannabinoid Hyperemesis Syndrome, a pretty serious medical condition that can develop if you smoke too much weed, you vomit a lot, you get muscle pain. It's a horrible thing. And maybe I was motivated by better health. Maybe I was certainly motivated to get more money in my bank account, start a savings, get more money. I was also motivated to find a meaningful relationship. And I felt that weed, and it was taking away from me creating and finding that relationship. Now, here's the problem though. If motivation had been enough to get me to quit, and if I had relied on motivation like I had in previous attempts to see the quitting process through, eventually you do feel better. Maybe it takes a few weeks, maybe a few months, maybe a few years, but things do get better. And when things get better, now what? When your health is better, when you land the relationship, when you get the promotion in the job, now what happens? You've accomplished the goals that you were looking to accomplish. And now, suddenly, what's the motivation to not go back to smoking weed? What's the motivation to not return to your old habits? Things are good now. I can smoke again. I fell victim to that mindset and that mentality. I can't even begin to tell you how many times. And then I would wait again for some point, by the grace of God, physiologically, where I'd get a little burst of motivation. That's another major problem with relying on motivation to quit smoking weed. Problem number 3, pitfall number 3, is motivation comes in ebbs and flows. There's days where I feel motivated. There's days where I don't feel motivated. And when I would run into a day throughout my quitting process where I didn't feel motivated to continue quitting, I would immediately wind up relapsing. Because if I wasn't feeling motivated, chances are I was also feeling anxious and pretty depressed. And I would immediately turn to smoking weed to cope with feelings of lack of motivation, anxiety, and depression. Because that's how I coped. That's how I trained my brain to handle those feelings. Motivation goes in ebbs and flows. And the goal of sobriety is to have consistency. I'm not smoking weed for the foreseeable future or for whatever amount of time it is you're looking to stop smoking for. So why would you rely on an emotion that goes in highs and lows for a goal that you're trying to achieve that requires consistency? It makes no sense, because the day you wake up and you're overtired, you're overworked, you're overstressed, and you're feeling unmotivated, there's a chance that relapse is going to occur. The last problem with motivation is it relies heavily on dopamine, and the motivation behind dopamine has a lot to do with the pursuit of something. Okay, the pursuit of something new, the pursuit of something that seems good to you. And right now, all of your motivation, the only thing you've been pursuing, the only thing that your brain perceives it's getting dopamine hits from has been cannabis. So any motivation that you do have is probably going to be applied to furthering the problem that you've already been struggling with. Now, what do you do? Okay, so here's all these pitfalls to relying on motivation, and the answer is simple. You want to switch over to a mindset of determination and discipline, a mindset that I know you already are capable of. For a fact, you've been very determined and persistent and disciplined in your addiction to weed. When you had no money, you found a way to get weed. When you felt sick, when you felt like you were dragged through the mud and had nothing left in you to give to addiction, you got up, you stayed determined, and you kept smoking. And I'm saying you because I am you. I've been in your shoes with cannabis addiction. You have the discipline, the determination, and the persistence to keep on pushing through even when you don't feel like it. That's what you have done with addiction to this point in your life. I beg you, take that same persistence, that same determination, that same level of discipline and dedication that you've put into cannabis and start to apply it towards your recovery and sobriety process. And I promise you, within a matter of a few years, you can completely change your current reality that you are in right now. And I say that as a walking testimonial. This channel didn't exist before I got sober. The thousands of people that we have now helped, the way in which this company, AddictionMindset, has impacted the world at this point, people from all over the world. Drop in the comments, where are you watching from? I want to prove it. It didn't exist without me getting sober. It's amazing what can change when you remained determined, persistent, and disciplined in your behavior. And guess what? Those emotions, it doesn't rely on dopamine. It doesn't rely on how you feel when you wake up in the morning. It relies on your mindset and how you approach the process, how you approach the day. So don't fall for the pitfalls that motivation stands to set us up to fail when it comes to quitting smoking weed. Rely on the determination, discipline, and persistence that you are already 100% capable of. Drop today's date in the comments. If today's the day you're ready to quit smoking weed, drop the date and the time and let our community know. I love to see it. And then if you need extra help, book a one-on-one call. Join our group coaching. It's $5 a month. We go live once a week. Or get the free PDF. It's free. It costs you nothing. I'll see you guys in the next video.